Hello everybody, it's Anna here again today, and today we are at the UNESCO Gorseddau Quarry, abandoned ghost village and Slate Cathedral Style Mill here at CWMYSTRADLLYN in Eryri, that's Snowdonia in Welsh, in North Wales. So come along and join us, you're very welcome. Don't forget, welcome in Welsh is croeso. And as Alf and myself walk about, I'm going to be telling you all about the village, the abandoned village, I should say, of Trevoris that housed the workers of the Slate Quarry. This track that we're walking on is the remains of the tramway that brought the slates down from the quarry onto the cathedral style slate mill, which we'll be seeing shortly, and then on to Porthmadog. As we're walking and looking at the ruins of the old village of Trevoris, the census from 1861 says that there was a 3-street village built to house the quarry workmen, which had 36 cottages and each of them with a quarter-acre plot. And so as we're walking around, you will be able to see some of the ruined houses, and you'll also see some farms and possibly a dairy or some dairies. And it's just fascinating to think of what it might have been like all that long ago, and the harsh winters that we do have in this area of Gwynedd. It's just incomprehensible really to think about how these people survived in this harsh atmosphere in the kind of houses that they lived in. The remains of this deserted village of Trevoris, built in the 1850s to serve Gorseddau Slate Quarry, was a planned village laid out after the quarry was taken over in 1854 by Robert Gill and John Harris, and the village was laid out on the hillside. And the site includes the ruins of the houses built for the Gorseddau quarry manager and the remains of a village built in about 1857 to 58 to accommodate Gorseddau quarrymen and their families, laid out on the hillside above the railway west of the quarry. The course of the Gorseddau railway runs nearby, and the quarry manager's house is now in ruins near the course of the railway. This actually here is a bleak hill slope, and arrangements reflect mid-19th century ideas about how to house workers and their families in an inhospitable location, and it can be inhospitable at this time of year here in Gwynedd. I mean, we've got heating in our houses, but at that time they wouldn't have done, and it can be quite cold at this time of year. So these resemble actually the Penrhyn estate settlement on Mynydd Llangai, as well as possibly drawing on the plans of Scottish and Irish planned villages. The prospect of the quarry provides the social linkage between the village of Trevoris and the industrial undertaking that it served, and the valley landscape offers the contrast between the permanence of nature and short-lived human endeavour. And wanted to mention that this site is part of the Slate landscape of North West Wales World Heritage Site. But I think you know that. I think I have that in the title description, that it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, or part of the Slate landscape of North West Wales. I thought I'd mention as well that the Slate landscape of North West Wales is undoubtedly fascinating, but by its very nature can be remote, dangerous and challenging, and a significant proportion of the landscape is within private ownership, and some of this on land where no public access is permitted. So I think before anybody is thinking of setting off to explore the Slate landscape, we do need to ask that, are we allowed to actually access the site, and do we have the right equipment and gear to go hiking? Because the weather can be a bit unpredictable. Have a look at this wall. It's called a wave wall, and it goes in the shape of a wave, and it was built to stop the slates from above falling down below, and it's very popular. Many people come along just to have a look at this famous wave wall. Anyway, I digress. Let's carry on looking around these ruins. This quarry here was started on the crest of a wave of optimism, where fortunes were being made out of slate right across North Wales, like in Blaenau Ffestiniog, in Dinorwig and in Penrhyn. So it's no surprise that the quarry followed the successful model of all the other enterprises and built a link to the sea via a narrow gauge railway, but there sadly the resemblance ends. Robert Gill and John Harris took out a lease on the land at the head of CWMYSTRADLLYN, costing £2,000 in the name of the recently floated Bangor and Porthmadog Slate and Slate Slab Company. And they must have been very persuasive salesmen, for over the next few years they extracted well over £125,000 from investors, hoping to make a quick killing from their enterprise. A great deal of money in those days, when the average weekly wage was just a few pennies. So extracting, though, quality slate was never ever going to be easy. And this quarry closed in 1867, not ever having made a profit. Another look here at the famous wave wall. You can get a better view of it there. Anyway, Gill and Harris didn't do things by halves, even though as quarry masters they might not have been very successful, but building a village for the workers was nothing to them. They even engaged the services of one of the most eminent civil engineers of the time, called James Brunlees, later became Sir James. They got him to build the tramway and also the very special slate mill in the shape of a cathedral that we'll be going to look at very soon. This quarry was developed in a time of what was known as the golden age of the slate industry here in Gwynedd, and the development testifies to the fact that everyone that invested in the slate industry expected at that time to make a fortune. Huge sums of money were invested in the quarries from that time, but this failed within a few years of opening because of the poor quality of the rock. This is a good example of how slate quarries were developed in the mid-19th century, and after they closed, their workers left, the railways were dismantled, and silence returned to these hills. This became a ghost village. It's known as a ghost village, abandoned. It's just left. And at more successful quarries, evidence of most of the original development has been worked away as the quarries developed and were modernised over the years. But here, original development and buildings can be seen as they would have been at the very beginning, and local people take pride, and as it is, along with the care of the National Park Authority, that has assured the remarkable survival of archaeological evidence here. It's fantastic, it's fascinating in such a bleak atmosphere. It's just amazing that we can walk around and see these remaining ruins. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Like I said before, Brunlees and Fox, who designed railways in several countries, built the line here to Gorseddau in 1857, and this was of a high standard, designed for horse haulage, and in comparison the line to another quarry was designed for use by steam locomotives and built by a local man to a far lighter standard. But very little use was made of both railways, and along their route lies one of the most remarkable buildings in the history of the slate industry, and that is Pandy slate mill. The slate mill in the style of a cathedral that we're heading over to in just a little while. But the mill was built for use by Gorseddau Quarry and was active between 1857 and 66. It is an imposing building inspired by foundry design, reflecting the background of its investors. Its machinery was powered by a water wheel with slabs arriving at an upper level. I'm telling you it now because when we go to see it, it's towards the end of the video and I wanted to tell you all about it now. This is on our way down towards the Slate mill. Okay, so anyway, the machinery at the mill, there it is. Isn't it stunning? The machinery was powered by a water wheel with slabs arriving at an upper level, and after the quarry closed, it is said to have been used as a community hall for some time, mainly for Eisteddfodau, which is a competitive festival of music and poetry here in North Wales that we love. It continued to be used for this until around 1906 when the roof was removed. So that's it, we'll leave it there for today from Gorseddau Quarry, abandoned village and the Slate Cathedral here in North Wales, and we'll say ta-ta for now and we'll see you on the next adventure or the next Welsh lesson or the next Welsh history lesson. Don't forget to keep practicing your Welsh because practice makes perfect. Ta-ta for now. Nos da.